Hey everyone, welcome back to Fantasy Theory. Episode 9 of Marvel's What If Season 2, titled What If Strange Supreme Intervened, is out now, and it is the finale. And it has been out for a few days now, and I finally got around to breaking it down. I don't know how this episode compares to the finale of Season 1, but I think I'm leaning towards liking the finale of Season 1 just a little more. However, this episode did have some cool moments and definitely teases what Secret Wars could be in the future. All in all, this season was pretty good, and I think it's already confirmed that there's a Season 3 on the way. But let's go scene by scene, break down, theorize, and review this finale to Marvel's What If Season 2. Before I jump in, let me know what you thought about this finale and the season. One cool thing before we jump right into the episode was the new intro for the finale, and it cameos and quotes of everyone from Season 1 and Season 2 of What If in their animated form. The first line we see appear is "I am Iron Man," and above that is the Sakaar Iron Man, just before showing Tony Stark's Sakaar Hulkbuster suit from Season 2, Episode 4. Next we see Happy Hogan in his full purple freak form with the lines, "Oh, I got Hulk blood pumping through me," following an image of Star-Lord's T'Challa from Season 1, Episode 2 with the line, "There's an entire world out there, Baba," which he says to his father T'Chaka as a child. Next is Bill Foster from Season 2, Episode 2 with his line, "Go big or go home." The next image is interesting. We see the Red Guardian, also known as Alexei, with the line, "I am the night, I am the wind." We actually have yet to see Alexei in Season 1 or Season 2, but I believe we'll see him in Season 3 due to the Marvel releasing a whole scene or a teaser to, it looks to be an unreleased Season 2 episode, but maybe it's just working on Season 3 early. Moving on from that is the image of Supreme Strange next to an image of Captain Carter in the same shield throwing position that we usually see Captain America in the original Marvel intro. Following our image is the line, "The name's Captain Carter." We see more scenes being depicted in the Marvel logo from both sides. We have the Watcher observing, Captain Carter from Season 1, Episode 1, Yi from Season 2, Episode 7, Strange Supreme, Tony and Sakaar in his armor from Season 2, Episode 4, Cordy from Season 2, Episode 6, Steve is the Hydra Stomper, the Hulk from 1602, as well as Merlin Wanda from the same episode as the Hulk. We have Captain Marvel, also known as Carol Danvers from Season 1, T'Challa as Star-Lord, Party Thor, and Carol fighting in Season 1, Episode 7, Zombie Scarlet Witch, Peggy Carter emerging from the Super Soldier Machine, Ego from Season 2, Episode 2, as well as Tony from Season 1, Episode 3 sitting in the donut of Randy's Donuts. We also have the Grandmaster from Season 2, Queen Ramonda, Natasha with the Red Guardian shield, Howard the Duck, Gamora, a young Peter Quill, Carol Danvers, Nick Fury, Bucky Barnes, Ultron Infinity, Strange Supreme, and finally Zombie Steve Rogers. Whew, that was a lot. But now that we just went through the entire intro, let's actually jump into the episode. The episode opens with the Watcher in the sky observing Peggy Carter and Supreme Strange in 1602, just how we left them in the last episode. The Watcher begins to narrate the turn of events as Peggy is now stuck in 1602 after saving this era's universe. Strange and Peggy are conversing when he changes their drinks from an ale to a whiskey, this being a callback to when Peggy said, "I've always been partial to whiskey," but it's also the drink she shared with Steve from Season 1. This also isn't the first time we've seen Strange change drinks. He changed Christine's water into wine in the Multiverse of Madness, as well as refilling Thor's beer in Ragnarok. Strange doing this is also a manipulative tactic to get Peggy to let her guard down, thus making it easier for him to ultimately control the situation. The Watcher reminds us of that Strange has been going through flashbacks from Season 1 of his mourning for Christine and ultimately his downfall. Strange is no longer the man he used to be, trying to time and time again to save Christine. He becomes a shell of himself and is now a much darker man. The Watcher says, now two legends must band together to face a threat unlike anything the multiverse has ever faced. Now the threat the Watcher is talking about could mean a few things, but the big threat here really is Strange himself. Now that he is consumed by so much dark energy and his grief is overpowering him, he is the real danger here. Strange brings Peggy to his sanctum, and while they are walking through, we see killers of different universes in prison here, including Ultron Infinity, young Peter Quill, original Goddess of Death Hela, the Collector from Season 1, Episode 2, a different version of Thanos, the gnome that Strange absorbed in Season 1, Episode 4, a different version of Loki, Wenwu, a heavily armored Rocket, as well as an armored Hulk. Now Strange is holding all of these guys prisoners is reminiscent of the Collector from Season 1, Episode 2, as well as Miguel O'Hara from Into the Spider-Verse, where he captured and kept different villains. Peggy uses her knowledge of pop culture to figure out what Strange exactly needs her for. She mentions movies like Gremlins, Aliens, and Jurassic Park, and says collect enough dangerous of anything and something will always escape. Now realizing one of the killers Strange is holding has escaped, he needs Peggy's help to save the world, he says. Strange turns a dial covered in ruins that reveals a rotunda of gateways, which are portals that connect to different areas of Earth that we see in the Sanctum Sanctorum. Strange needs Peggy to go in through one of the portals to extract his escaped prisoner and promise her she'll go back to her home. He even says, "I cross my heart." The thing is, this is no longer Doctor Strange. This is Strange Supreme. and the Man in Dark is manipulative. He has no heart to keep his promise. Peggy goes through the portal to look for the killer, where she finds herself in South Dakota. Burnt trees and snow overcome the forest. She looks up to see Mount Rushmore, only we see no faces besides one, which is Red Skull carved into the rock. Red Skull, of course, being Steve's first villain as well as hers. The Watcher explains now in this timeline Steve nor her survived a bombing, which led to Red Skull taking over the Tesseract and winning. Captain Carter is introduced to Kahorti, as we see a flash of blue light whip around the snow forest, which reminds us of Quicksilver in Age of Ultron when he first meets the Avengers. This was set up in episode 6, where Strange finally found Kahorti, saying he's been looking for her for a long time. Peggy and Kahorti begin to fight, with Peggy throwing a shield at her, Kahorti hitting her with her super speed, and Kahorti catching the shield the same way the Winter Soldier does when Steve throws it at him in the Winter Soldier. It's interesting now that Kahorti could speak English after all episode 6 was in her native language. After Kahorti catches the shield, she says to Peggy she is not the universe killer, Strange is, and she thinks they could help each other. Strange brings them both back to a portal, and Kahorti in panic says he isn't just targeting universe killers, he's gathering righteous heroes too. Strange isn't trying to save the universe, he's trying to resurrect his universe. Peggy, now realizing he's trying to bring back Christine, Strange says it's something he should understand. She said she would never go to the lengths that he is to bring back Steve, and she throws her shield, hitting all the cells that are holding the prisoners. This being a distraction for Strange, so that her and Kahorti could get away and close the forge that Strange created. Now there's a prison outbreak. We could see some of the standouts. There's Vision, a white-haired Wenwu wielding the 10 rings, yelling to bow down to them, a bunch of Skrulls, Hulk in armor, as well as the heavily armored Rocket from earlier with red eyes. We also see people from the Black Order. We see Captain Marvel for a split second. As Peggy and Kahorti escape the prison break, they run into a zombie Wanda with her zombie army from season 1 episode 5. The two then battle the zombie army led by Wanda, and is probably a preview of how the Marvel zombie animated show could be like. To add to the chaos, the zombie eyes turn from red to green as Hela appears on her wolf. She uses her magic to take control of them, just how she did in Thor Ragnarok to the dead warriors. Hela says to everyone to kneel before her, and Kahorti says, "The last woman to demand that of me regretted it," calling back to episode 6 with her and Queen Isabella. We see Surtur emerge, and Hela pushes her focus now onto him. As we know, Surtur was the one who killed Hela in Thor Ragnarok, and was ultimately the reason for Kahorti's powers. Now that the focus is off them, Peggy and Kahorti both escape, only to run into Thanos with all 6 Infinity Stones. Now, as What If does, Thanos is easy work and is snapped away, revealing Killmonger also wielding all 6 Infinity Stones from the Gauntlet armor. This is not the first time we see Killmonger in this armor. The last we saw this was the finale of season 1, but at this episode has a time restraint. Kahorti makes easy work of him as well, and portals him without his gauntlet suit to the rest of the battle, where we now see 2 Thors facing off against each other, one in full sleeve armor and one without. Now here's where it gets to be a little silly. We can see how much the writers really love Captain Carter. We have Killmonger's gauntlet suit now just lying on the floor, and Peggy releases the Infinity Stones from it, and they flow into her suit, giving us sort of an upgraded version of her. However, it doesn't stop here. In the final battle between Strange, Peggy, and Kahorti, we see Peggy work the Power Stone into her shield, making it stronger. Strange unleashes serpent heads like he did in season 1. Peggy uses the Space Stone to teleport her shield to hit Strange from different angles, but Strange duplicates himself as we've seen him do before in Infinity War. Peggy uses the Reality Stone to mimic his spell and duplicate herself as well. Strange puts an end to that quick using the Butterfly-like spell. We also seen him use this in the battle against Thanos in Infinity War. Due to this spell, Peggy is now back to where we first saw her in season 1, episode 1. Now before she is Captain Carter, Steve tells Peggy to stay and they can finally be together. However, Peggy sees a butterfly, knowing this is not a reality. She is under Strange's spell. That breaks her out of it, and the fight continues. Strange opens multiple portals and starts to drop all prisoners and heroes into the forge. Peggy stops it using the Time Stone, but Strange has one of his own and stops her, causing all the heroes and villains to throw their weapons to Peggy to boost her strength and fight against Strange. Yes, again, this is where it gets silly. We see Hela throw her crown, Thor throw Mjolnir, Wenwu throw the 10 rings, as well as other weapons continue to be thrown, including a green glowing sword and Odin's spear. Peggy takes Hela's crown and the sword, and Kahorti wields the 10 rings and uses her magic to lift Mjolnir. Which this makes me wonder, is she actually worthy or not? Strange shows his new underlying form, which is the demon he has created through his grief. He has destroyed his heart and soul trying to bring Cena back, and is now the monster he can't control. The demon absorbs all the weapons and knocks the Infinity Stones loose from Peggy's suit. Peggy then eventually leaps to the demon with nothing until Kahorti uses her powers to push the Infinity Stones into her fists, surprising the demon with a forceful hit. This knocks Strange back to human form, and he says his grief is too strong, and he ultimately chooses to sacrifice himself, knowing he cannot defeat grief without love. He pulls his human self and his demon self, and Peggy down into the forge. Peggy, fighting the demon, breaks from his hold and clings onto a ledge to stop her from falling, while Stream and the demon plummet. Strange sacrifices himself and creates a reality where Christine is alive and well. However, Strange was never born into this reality. The Watcher shows this to Peggy, explaining when a butterfly lands on the Watcher's finger. The colors of the butterfly being the same colors as the Idrisil tree, which he shows Peggy, and of course ties into Loki Season 2, where we see Loki create this, bringing all the branches of life together rather than pruning them. So obviously this episode had more of a tie-in to Secret Wars and where things are going with Loki and again Secret Wars. But breaking this down was really fun because, like I said, it just shows what could happen moving forward with all these tie-ins. You let me know again what you thought of the finale as well as the season. I am pretty excited for Season 3. I wasn't too ecstatic for it, but hopefully we get some more cool What If episodes. I feel like they're setting up Captain Carter in a big way for a live action debut, maybe in Secret Wars or before that. Maybe a possible team up between her and Steve Rogers, who knows. But anyway, please like, comment, and subscribe. I'll see you all in the next one. Have an incredible day.